This is the DB podcast. When you gaze into the abyss gazes back into you. The DB podcast is a dark podcast, and whatever's within the darkness shines within the light. Read the screens. Okay, read the screen. Alright, so Stranger Things. So they'll use these soldiers. The soldiers don't know what they're doing. They don't ask any questions. They don't give a fuck, and they don't really. They don't want to get killed because they can get shot the fuck up in there and turn into another body bag. So they will slump you out if you try to ask too many questions. Anyways, it's not very different from being in a set or a game like the mafia. You don't just go asking questions unless you know who to ask. So it's like that, and coding and manipulation tactics, and they'll use those with so-called hierarchies, which are those with potential. They refer to it as potential psychic abilities to figure out how to use this technology to kind of manipulate or access the deeper states of the mind, because the way that a computer works is the same way the mind works, and those codes are programs. Those programs can be used just like that's basically this. They're basically they're basically the same way drugs have codes within them. Literal computer codes are found within drugs. Yes, it's the same way the computers are running fucking codes, and they want you to kind of hack the codes, the natural codes that are within the genetics, even the artificial ones within the mind, so that way within the genetics, so that they can generate enough information, which is energy, electrical input, at least not like the soul or whatever. They're not able to manipulate the soul, but they're able to manipulate the spirit, or the spirits, if the spirits is susceptible, which is not usually the case. But like artificial spirits and shit and clone spirits, they'll manipulate the shit out of that and attempt to activate certain things within the bloodstream, which holds codes, which is also known as where the spirit resides. And within the bloodstream is genetics, and the genetics have genetic codes. So these motherfuckers think they're just running a computer program to figure out how they're gonna hack another nation. No, those are genetic codes that might be their genetic codes that they're hacking right there, to try to figure out how they're going to manipulate, use that information to manipulate the genetics, so they can create what soldiers who are retired and from the military they'll call like super soldiers, or metahumans, mutants, which is a real thing. That's just not what they're truly called. That's not what they're truly called. Nope. So they're running operations like that in there, and using manipulation tactics to convince them that they're like subordinates within the military, which is why it's like motherfuckers coming out of the military and now they're wearing crystals and shit, and they're fucking tattoo artists. They basically now they're playing flutes and wearing and banging frequency and banging on bungalows and shit. All of a sudden it's like, bro, I thought you were like, weren't you a square? Weren't you in the military? Like, weren't you like, yes sir, no sir? Weren't you like on your knees sucking dick and shit? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're like this spiritual hippie now? Like, you're just like, you went on a psychedelic trip for like 5 man-made years? Why would you do that? Like, they come out the military in the quick as fuck, bro. Quick as fuck in man-made, in eyes of man, in eyes of mortals, actually. They got locks. What the fuck? They got like a so-called 20 man-made 24-inch beard and rocks on their fingers and fucking tattoos. Now they have they got like sigils and fucking magic circles tatted all over their temple and in their vessel. Once again, mortals refer to it as their physical bodies and shit, bro. Like they be doing so much, and then you be like, what the fuck? How did you go from being bald, so called, what mortals refer to as being bald, which doesn't even truly exist. Isn't real and it's not true. It's just thinking of being bald. Okay, it's not what it's truly called. You just scalped yourself. What the fuck? You just scalped. It's not baldness, because your ether can still, cause it's still activated. It's not dead. Okay, your nervous system is not deactivated, so your ether will never be fucking dead. It will never just not exist. So there's no such thing as being bald. So what mortals refer to as being bald, no, that's not true. That doesn't exist. That's a manipulation tactic. It's not real. It never will be. It never has been. It's not going to be. But anyways, they go from being scalped straight to the dome. All of a sudden, figuratively, that is. And now they come out and they have a fucking beard. They got locks, crystals and tattoos, and they look like a fucking unit. Or they look like somebody who's never even touched a gun before. Like it blows. It's like, what the fuck happened to this? I mean, it's not, you don't even wonder what happened to them. You're just like, how did you end up in the military though? Like, you're not even like, you don't even seem like the type of person I to even believe in that bullshit. And they'll be like, well, I was fucked up. Well, I didn't know what I mean, I was just delusional. I would, a lot of them, it was MK Ultra, so they really didn't even realize that they were in the military until afterwards. They just found out. They literally weren't even aware the whole entire moment. But because they were drugged through the supplements, that the military will call it supplements, and food aid, like the food that they gave them, they put drugs in there. Yes, psychedelics. They were being microdoses. They were being microdosage and shit like that. And they'll use drugs that their artificial technology that's made aware to the public, even the public military. They don't even detect. They don't even They don't even detect the psychedelics and the drugs that they microdosage inside the food and the water and the shit that they're like filtering. That the soldiers, the so-called wannabe soldiers, are drinking and shit. And they do it with the Black Ops. They do it with the Rangers. They do it with the Air Force. They do it with they barely do it with the Air Force. I'm not gonna lie. Even if they do it with the Air Force, it's because most of the Air Force, they have a deep enough so-called IQ that they don't even really need to worry about the Air Force. Those motherfuckers definitely got psychic abilities. Like, come on now. It's not. It might not be deep, as in what mortals refer to as strong, but it's still there. But they definitely do it with Navy SEALs and what's it called? The Marines. They're willing to die fucking high. How the fuck do you think those motherfuckers are running across a battlefield like that? They're fucking high, and they're literally psychopaths that are high. Like, they're high psychopaths. They're past psychopaths that are high. They don't give a fuck about killing people. They're gonna justify it by any means, and they're fucking being microdoses with like DMT and melatonin and shit. Using, and then when they're not on a fucking mission somewhere, they're somewhere in a hydraulic chamber. Okay, with salt and shit in that motherfucker, just healing, whatever. Talking about, they'll use that as an excuse, which it does accelerate what mortals refer to as healing, the healing process. Not only mentally, emotionally, psychologically, vibrationally. Not even, I'm not gonna put it emotionally, but spiritually. Not actually, not emotionally, but spiritually and psychologically and shit like that. It'll even heal trauma if you're deep enough, if you're willing to heal from it, yourself. So yeah, it's pretty so they'll do that, and then they'll send them back off into the battlefield, or they'll put them somewhere where they can just like astral project and fuck shit up. And then whenever the other soldier from the other nation wakes up, they commit suicide.